Hi everyone, our journal page, and I wasn't planning on making a video, but then I glued this music sheet to this page and just said to myself, why am I not filming? So here it is. Now you don't have to have music sheet, it's just an instant details to the background. It can be any book pages or map, anything that will give you details. And also it doesn't have to be this. You can stamp around, or if you have any kind of tissue paper with pattern on it. So again, another option. So I've got this music sheet and I still want to add some details to it. And just so warning in advance, some of it is gonna get covered, but the most important thing is that I want some details in the back. I've taken this butterfly stamp and I'm just going to add it in several places on my page. Let's put it a little bit like this. Now, even if you don't have it, there are lots of free printables that you can find. If it's music sheet, even with, I have seen even with already some butterflies on it. So just do a search for free printables and you will be amazed at the things that you can find. So I'm not really concerned about where I'm placing them, and I'm not concerned about a fine print. I just want to have some details. Switching to this, I don't know, circle with like script around, and again just putting it randomly. Let's see. Okay, so I think this is fine, and maybe just a little bit more. Here I've taken it from the acrylic block so I can stamp it here without going on the spiral. Okay, so I've got this, and now I want some texture. So I'm taking a stencil with leaves and some of my texture paste. This is, I made this, it's a half a cup baby powder, 1 tablespoon glue, 1 tablespoon white acrylic paint, and water is just up to you and the consistency that you want. And I'm just taking a plastic card. Now again, this is going to be quite random on the page, so I will have some texture. You can do this with a palette knife. I just had the plastic card here. Okay, doesn't have to be perfect. Let's see. Let's put some here also. I think I've got a lot of paste here, so I'm just scraping it. Maybe a little bit more. I'm putting pressure so I will have a really fine texture, not a lot of paste on. And if I have too much here that I don't like, I'm just scraping it off. And maybe I will add a little bit more here and here, but I need for this to dry before I'm doing it. I don't want to damage what I've got. As you can see, I have a little bit of spillage in several places. Really don't care, it's part of the background. I'm going to either spray on top of it or use watercolors or water down acrylics. Either way, it's just something that will be translucent and watery, that will go in all this fine texture. So it really doesn't matter. So I'm going to come back when this is dry. I'm back. So got my texture and I've put a towel underneath my page. I'm going to start with sprays just because it's faster. I have homemade sprays from gel, food coloring and water. There are no measurements. I just put a few drops of the gel, food coloring and water and see if it's intense enough for my liking. If not, then I will add more gel food coloring. So let's see, I'm going to start with some orange and I'm thinking that I will start with this and maybe later on I will do the fine-tuning of the color with watercolors. But as I said, it doesn't have to be sprays, it doesn't have to be watercolors, anything water soluble that you can put on your page is a go. So just so it will travel with this. Now I want something that is not opaque, so the details will come through, and also so it will go into the texture. Now my page is a little bit curling because of the water. I'm thinking I need more of the orange. And I can keep on until I'm satisfied with the result. Let's just something a little bit more intense. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry. However, it dries in puddles, in whatever. And as I said, when it's dry, we'll see if I am going to do some fixing with watercolors. So I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back and I want to do a little bit more fine-tuning for the colors. I'm going to use some watercolors now, just because I feel that I can have more control over them with a brush. But use whatever you have and whatever you feel comfortable. Another way to go about it is with watercolor pencils, again, because you can put them wherever you want and then activate them with water. So basically whatever you feel is easier for you and you have on hand. So I'm taking this dark magenta mostly to the edges and the corners, just to darken it and frame my page a little bit. Like so. And I'm letting it also travel a little bit. It really doesn't matter. I just want it to darken the edges and blend with the page. So in several places I will just spray it and let it go wherever it goes, so I won't have harsh lines. And I can also go with the brush and add wherever I want to and spread it. So again, what feels more comfortable for you. And I'm thinking just maybe add a little bit more color in several places. I've got a darker orange that I want to add in some places. Sometimes the sprays, when they are drying, they absorb so much into the page that they fade a little bit. So you can either spray again to make them more strong, or just fix it any other way that I've mentioned. So let's see. Yeah, I like it. And maybe just, I feel like I need some green here. Not sure. Just a little bit. This is too much yellow, citrus, I don't know, too lime for me. So I'm just going to add a little bit of green. Again, it's just from the watercolors. This is a Pelican set. I've got this like 3 decades. Don't know if they are still doing watercolors. So I'm just adding a little bit of green just to, I think it's toning down a little bit some of this is looking a little bit neon, so I think this gives it a little bit coming down. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe just a little bit here. Now I'm satisfied. Okay, so moving the watercolors aside, I'm going to give this time to dry. I don't want to use a heat tool because I don't want it to move on the page. I want it to stay where it is, and when it's dry I'll come back. Okay, I'm back, and focal point. So I have this dried leaves that I've picked up to make some jelly prints with them, and as you can see on the other side I have a little bit of a blue paint, and I was kind of considering if I want to use it like this or if I wanted to use it with the blue paint, and I've decided on the blue paint. So now I'm just going to glue them to my page. Now I'm using this E6000, but just because it has this really fine nozzle, and that's it. Otherwise I would have used any other glue. This will just help me go over. Now it doesn't have to be on each leaf or anything, it just need to adhere to my page in several places, so I'm not really concerned, but it is easier to use this. I'll just put on this one also, and then I will see the placement of the 2 branches. Just go to show you that you can just step outside, pick some leaves, dry them, and do all kinds of fun stuff with them. I think this one will go here, and this one will go here, and I'm just going to put some this plastic bag, whatever you call it, the thing for putting paper inside, and I'm just going to put some pressure on and let it dry before I continue, because I'm thinking about doing a little shading. So I'll be back. Okay, so focal point in place, and now for a little bit of shading I'm taking again just a brush with a little bit of brown, a watercolor, and again it doesn't have to be, use whatever you like, and it feels a little bit for me it's a little bit easier to use this. I could also use, especially for this, for tight places, you can use the water soluble pencils. Sometimes the words just get stuck and nothing to do about it. Just keep on. Some of it is traveling to the texture, don't care, just part of the whole thing. The shading is more for it to stand a little bit more on the page, and you can decide that you don't want to. In between the leaves, in very tight places, I'm trying to make it darker, but otherwise it really doesn't matter. And if you're not sure, just do very light application of the paint, and then if it's not enough, then apply more. Better to start with light and then add. Subtracting is almost none. You can't do it. Once it's dry, you can't remove it. So I'm really liking what's going on here, and I'm thinking, because I have the veins of the leaves on the upside, I'm thinking that maybe I will take one of my gilding wax and maybe try and add some highlights, because it's texture, and maybe I can pick up the texture of the leaf and add just a little bit highlight to it. We'll see. Okay, maybe just a little bit more in several places. Too much. Adding water just to spread it. Yeah. And just a little bit more darker in between. I like it. Okay, so let's see if I can add some highlights. with the gilding wax. Now gilding wax is the bomb, but it's expensive, and I've got this a long time, so at least there is that. But as I said, it's expensive. Another way to go about it is use an gold acrylic paint with a brush and dry brush over the texture. I'm not sure you can see the gold that I'm applying. It's really fine, but maybe if I'll tilt it, you can see a little bit of the shimmer. Okay. So just going over and trying to pick at the veins. When you're doing this kind of thing on a jelly plate with leaves, you put down the texture towards where the paint is on the jelly plate. So that's why the underside, where the veins are, has the color. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it is it is there. Not completely what I was thinking, but better than nothing. So I'm thinking this is it. I'm leaving my page as is. I really hope you can see all the details. So thank you for watching, and thank you for leaving me comments down below. I'll be seeing you in my next video. Bye for now.